From frustratingly not owning all the rights to a movie, to simply not having enough dollar, there are a ton of reasons why the following proposed horror sequels simply have not happened yet. So let's talk about them. Because I'm Gareth, this is What Culture Horror, and here are 10 reasons horror sequels haven't happened yet. Number 10, James Gunn doesn't own all the rights, Brightburn 2. The James Gunn-produced Brightburn was a fascinatingly twisted riff on the Superman mythology, centered around a young extraterrestrial who harnesses his superpowers not for good, but evil. Though it received mixed reviews from critics, Brightburn still grossed $33.2 million against a tight $6 million budget. And considering it ended with one hell of an epic sequel tease, many naturally hoped that Brightburn 2 would eventually materialize. While Gunn was initially positive about a sequel, word quickly went quiet on it, and it wasn't until 2024 that we received a substantial update from the man himself explaining the radio silence. Beyond the fact that Gunn himself has been rather busy with numerous large-scale projects in recent years, not least his new Superman film, Gunn revealed on Threads in April 2024 that the film's rights are all effed up. His words. Gunn stated that he only owns half the rights to Brightburn, implying that whoever owns the other half isn't exactly playing ball, before adding that Brightburn 2 was unlikely as a result. And even though Brightburn production company The H Collective formally announced Brightburn 2 in late 2023, this sure sounds like a sequel that is destined to be stuck in the quagmire of development hell forevermore. Alright, quick question before we go any further. What movie sequel are you desperate to see get made? Let me know in the comments down below. Number 9, the success of Alien Romulus, Don't Breathe 3. Even though the fan response to Don't Breathe 2 was incredibly mixed, with many questioning the decision to make an anti-hero out of Stephen Lang's horrifically unsavory lead character, it was still a box office success, grossing over $50 million against a mere $15 million budget. Granted, that take was barely 1/3 of the first film's mighty $157.8 million haul, but ever since the release of Don't Breathe 2, Lang, the original film's director Fede Alvarez, and the sequel's director Rodo Sayaguez, who also co-wrote the original, have been eager to get a threequel made. Alvarez and Sayaguez even teased the possibility of a third film in which Lang's Norman Nordstrom comes to blows with original heroine Rocky once again. Yet the better part of 4 years have passed since the second movie, and we appear no closer to Don't Breathe 3. The reason for this isn't the second film's diminished box office returns though, but the success of the recent Alien Romulus. Let me explain. The Alien sequel, which was directed by Alvarez and co-written by Sayaguez, has kept the pair busy for years, and the film's critical and commercial success has resulted in them being invited back to produce a follow-up. In fact, the Romulus sequel is currently scheduled to start shooting in October, likely for a late 2026 or early 2027 release. And if that sequel manages to match or even exceed the success of Romulus, there's no reason to doubt that the duo will again return for a third film, right? And so it's quite possible that Don't Breathe 3 is benched until around 2030, at which point too much time may have passed for it to be worthwhile. And of course, that's without even considering the fact that Stephen Lang will be almost 80 years old by 2030. Number 8, the production needs more money, Attack the Block 2. Though Joe Cornish's sci-fi horror film Attack the Block wasn't a hit at the box office, it has endured as something of a cult classic since its 2011 release. Enough that in 2021, Cornish announced he would be writing and directing a sequel, with John Boyega set to reprise his lead role. Woohoo! It was certainly an exciting announcement, albeit one that came at a time when Hollywood was retreating inward and becoming ever more conservative with the projects it financed. And so it is not terribly surprising that we've heard little of substance about Attack the Block 2 in the 4+ years since its confirmation. Boyega did, however, recently explain the hold-up, which is about as predictable a situation as one could possibly imagine. In an appearance on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Boyega confirmed that the script has been written and he's happy with it, but noted that the production needs more money for those aliens. Basically, Attack the Block 2 appears to be stuck at the budgeting stage. And though the first film was made for a svelte $13 million, it is fair to assume that a follow-up with a post-Star Wars Boyega will cost considerably more. I mean, give them some money and just let's do this thing already. Number 7, Leigh Whannell doesn't want to make it. The Invisible Woman. Leigh Whannell's The Invisible Man was a serious commercial success, grossing $144.5 million against a $7 million budget, despite releasing in one of the worst periods of the pandemic. And so, within a matter of months, Whannell was confirmed to be working on a sequel, rumored to be titled The Invisible Woman, with Elizabeth Moss set to return as lead Cecilia Cass. Though Moss remained enthusiastic about the sequel coming to fruition in the years that followed, Whannell moved on to produce his Wolfman reboot, which was released earlier this year. And while doing press for that film, Whannell confirmed that he had lost all interest in producing an Invisible Man sequel, noting that the original film's ending was so tidy that he didn't feel the artistic need to make another, which is fair enough really. But given that Whannell doesn't own the rights to the IP, it's still conceivable that the sequel will happen without him. After all, as recently as last year, Moss reaffirmed her interest in it, even claiming that Blumhouse and her production company Love and Squalor Pictures were close to cracking the story. And so, if the story can indeed be figured out, it'd then fall to Blumhouse and Moss to get a writer and director on board to bring the sequel to life without Whannell, which could absolutely happen. Number 6, Gabriel Bateman's Age, Lights Out 2. David F. Sandberg's 2016 debut, Lights Out, based on his own viral short of the same name, was a stonking box office success, grossing just shy of $150 million worldwide on a $5 million budget. That is a hell of a profit. It didn't take long for Warner Brothers to announce a sequel, with Sandberg and screenwriter Eric Heiserer both set to return. But we're now 9 years removed from the first film's release and seemingly no closer to Lights Out 2. You can absolutely point to Sandberg being kept busy with the Shazam movies in recent years, but in 2023 he revealed that the sequel has been held up by another complication: the age of lead actor Gabriel Bateman. Bateman appeared in the film as protagonist Rebecca's young half-brother Martin, and the original script for Lights Out 2 picked up with Martin still a young boy. This obviously would not work due to the natural passage of time, with Bateman now being 20 years old, meaning that the current draft of the script would need some serious refinements. And while that sounds like a fixable problem given how commercially successful the first movie was, Warner Brothers may ultimately feel that too much time has passed since the original, and that the window of opportunity to exploit the first film's success closed long ago. If you're finding this look at the reasons certain horror sequels haven't happened quite interesting, then hit that subscribe button below for even more What Culture Horror videos just like the one that you're watching right now. Well, similar, maybe not exactly the same, but you get my point. Number 5, Jason Blum wants the franchise to rest. Paranormal Activity 8. Considering that the Paranormal Activity franchise has collectively grossed almost $900 million worldwide against a combined budget of just $28 million, yep, you heard that right, it sure seemed like Blumhouse would just keep churning these things out until there wasn't any juice left. Can't really blame them, to be honest. Though 2015's Paranormal Activity The Ghost Dimension was the final entry into the original run of movies, it still grossed almost $80 million globally against a $10 million budget, so many naturally expected to see another theatrical sequel put into production in short order. Instead, the franchise went dormant until 2021, when the 7th movie, Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, was released direct to Paramount Plus, where it was widely panned by critics and fans alike. Rumors soon enough abounded regardless about Paranormal Activity 8, though in 2022, Blumhouse founder Jason Blum Blum cut through the noise by bluntly revealing that he thought Next of Kin was terrible, and adding that he had no active desire to produce further sequels. Though Blum said he was open to the idea of more Paranormal Activity if a filmmaker came to him with a fresh take, he was otherwise happy to put Paranormal Activity to bed. While the franchise will almost certainly return with an 8th film one day, it's clearly the furthest thing from a priority for Blumhouse right now. Probably for the best, let's just give it a moment. Number 4, the script is out of date. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon 2. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon may not have been a box office success in 2006, but it has endured for almost 2 decades as an incredibly distinctive and memorable mockumentary, serving as a gloriously entertaining love letter to and parody of the slasher genre. Director Scott Glosserman and co-writer David J. Stevie have both talked up the prospect of a Behind the Mask sequel over the years, which makes sense given the film's sequel-teasing final scene revealing serial killer Leslie to still be alive. However, we've now gone the better part of 20 years without the sequel materializing. Yet this is less to do with financials as one might expect, but rather the passage of time rendering the original sequel idea dated. In a 2017 interview, Glosserman revealed that the original script for Behind the Mask 2 was mounted as a parody of both the found footage and torture porn genres that were prominent in the mid to late 2000s. Glosserman added that the dated nature of the script would make it feel like a period piece today, but that he also had no interest in updating the script for more modern sensibilities. Glosserman called the sequel situation a conundrum. A script was produced that might have struck a chord if it were made at the right time, but clearly the filmmaker is concerned that this iteration of Behind the Mask 2 just wouldn't hit with the audiences of now. Quite the conundrum indeed. Number 3, the directors are busy with other projects. Talk to Me. Talk to Me was a surprise smash hit when it released in the summer of 2023, grossing a phenomenal $92 million globally on a mere $4.5 million budget, enough that directors Danny and Michael Philippou announced a sequel, Talk to Me, just weeks later. That's Talk to Me with a 2 in the middle. Ha, so good. Given that sequels to hit horror movies are all about striking while the iron is hot, many assumed that Talk to Me would swiftly go into production. But more than 4 years later, after the original film was shot, the sequel appears to be nowhere close to production. The Philippou brothers did recently elaborate on why though, and it's certainly a good thing from their perspective. They've just been too damn busy. For one, their second horror film, Bring Her Back, was recently released, and beyond that, they've been working on a documentary about deathmatch wrestling, and are also in the midst of writing another horror film. Though the brothers are meanwhile also writing Talk to Me, they have made it clear that it will only become a priority once they've finished the documentary and the other unnamed horror film, so realistically the sequel likely won't materialize for at least a few more years. Considering the strength of their first 2 movies though, good things will probably come to those who wait, so just be patient. Number 2, the previous film's box office performance, Goosebumps 3. Even though it is aimed at younger audiences, there are few horror IP more immediately recognizable worldwide than Goosebumps. And in 2015, Sony launched a blockbuster movie franchise based on R.L. Stine's beloved novels. The original Jack Black starring romp was solidly successful at the box office, grossing almost $160 million worldwide, leading to the release of sequel Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween in 2018, and why you might assume that a brand as widely beloved as Goosebumps could easily be spun off into an ongoing hit franchise. Goosebumps 3 still hasn't come to fruition as of 2025. This is because Goosebumps 2 wildly underperformed at the box office, grossing just $93.3 million, which, even accepting the sequel's smaller budget compared to its predecessor, marks a colossal drop in revenue. Though Goosebumps 3 has never been officially cancelled, it's clearly been put on ice following the second film's lackluster performance. And since then, the IP has pivoted back to the world of TV with an ongoing series for Disney+. Cinematically speaking though, it's far more likely that the franchise gets rebooted at some point, rather than Sony ever picking up from where the second movie left off. Considering the middling at best interest in this iteration, best to just move on. Number 1. Disagreements between the director and executives. Hatchet 5. Adam Green's slasher throwback franchise, Hatchet, has impressively made it to 4 installments, despite not a single one of them getting a major theatrical release or seemingly making much money. But today, the last entry, Victor Crowley, was released all the way back in 2017, meaning that almost a decade has passed without a new Hatchet movie, much to fans' chagrin. Green did recently give increasingly impatient fans an update, though, when he revealed that Hatchet 5's delay comes down to the most boring of things: squabbling with the higher-ups. Though Green didn't go into huge detail, he effectively blamed entities behind the scenes at the top level, stating that while the creative side of Hatchet is still very harmonious, the IP desperately needs to be under new management. Green insists he will not touch Hatchet again until the old management is out of the way. A vague answer that unfortunately leaves the series' future totally up in the air.